All right, and then in the right side of my t-chart, I put the b value, which is 19. And then I look for my two values that multiply to get 60 and add to get 19. And so you can start from the top and go, oh, 2 times 30, or 1 times 60, right? And then go from there. 30 times 20, two numbers that multiply to get 60. That's what I'm writing here. And that adds up to 23. 4 times 15, oh, that's 19. Next, what would I do next? Yes. Yes, thank you. So the middle now becomes 4x and 15x. Could you write 15x and then 4x? Yep. Your final answer will be the same. I did that so that now I have 4 terms, which allows me to factor by grouping. Common factor in my first group is x. Factoring out x, I get 5x. 5x squared divided by x is 5x. 4x divided by x is 4. In my second group, so I bring down the plus sign. In my next group, 15 and 12 have a common factor of 3. No x in common there. Dividing 15 by 3, I get 5, and the x there, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. The thing that should stand out is that these two are the same. Not a coincidence. It's the first group in your factored form. This pencil. And the next group, I write my leftovers. And like I said, if you wrote these in opposite order that I did, you might have the x plus 3 first as the common group. Either way, it doesn't matter which group you write first. The factored form is 5x plus 4 times the quantity x plus 3. Or x plus 3 times the quantity 5x plus 4, they equal the same. Haley?
So it doesn't matter which way you put the 15 and 4?
Correct. You should end up with the same answer. Andrew?
I did do, I switched the numbers, 15 and then 4. And I got a factor by 5 in the first group, and got x squared plus 3, and then by 4 in the next group. And
So I'll just write it out so we can all kind of track with you. So you said, okay, 5x was in common in the first group.
I didn't do 5x, I just did 5.
Oh, it should be 5x since they both have that x.
Oh, okay.
So then you said what was inside?
X plus 3.
Okay,
Well, I
x
did
plus.
X squared plus
Okay.
3 'cause I didn't,
Okay, so now you're seeing that. So then that was x plus 3, and then what did you find in common here?
4.
4, and then it's going to be x plus 3 again, right? The common group then is x plus 3, and the leftovers are 5x plus 4. Either way, works out, same answer. Questions on question 1. Number 2, same concept. 3x squared minus 2x minus 5. What would you do first after you write it down? What? A, B, and C. A is 3, B is -2, C is -5. I didn't say that on the last one. I skipped that step. Thank you. A, B, and C. And then what? A times C. There we go. A times C. So 3 times -5 is -15. B is -2. Careful. Watch out for the negatives. On my work on SLO, I might write, watch the negatives at the top, so I remind myself, since that's a common mistake for a lot of us. Two numbers that multiply to get -15 and add to get -2.
3 times -4.
Thanks. We're going to just go there. They're smaller numbers, so it's easier to spot them, I would say, than larger numbers. Sometimes I have to try a couple first. So I'm going to rewrite, splitting the middle. Let's give up on this pencil. I'm serious, every time I write with it. This says it's a little larger lead, so hopefully it'll go better. Plus 3x, it feels better already, minus 5x, minus 5. Now I have two groups. Common factor is 3x. Divide out the 3x we're left with. X plus 1, good. Common factor here, minus 5. Right? So careful again about the signs. Dividing by negative 5, that leaves me with x plus 1 again. Common group is x plus 1. Leftovers are 3x minus 5. Questions on number 2. Number 3. We're talking about Jaden was given the following problem. What I need you to do is cross out that x squared minus 6x plus blank equals 7. Cross that part out. And just reference this part right here. So the question is, finish the problem. Completing the square has been done, right? From step 1 to step 2, they just combine like terms. To step 3, we went from the perfect square trinomial that was created by the b over 2 squared, plugged in the b over 2 value right here. Guess what? All of that has been done for you. Kind of nice. So now all you need to do is finish it off. So if we have on question 3, x minus 5 squared equals 9. What should I do to solve? Square root both sides. So x minus 5 equals 3. Good job. Plus or minus 3. Don't forget the plus or minus when you take the square root of a perfect square. And then, I think that we could, I think this is how Mrs. Graham did it. Make it into two equations. So x minus 5 equals 3, and x minus 5 equals negative 3. Right? Two different answers. Two entirely different answers. You have to solve both of them. By adding 5 to both sides, so we get x equals 8. Adding 5 to both sides, we get x equals 2. Completing the square, this is what you need to know for completing the square. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 4, solve this equation. What do you want to use to solve? I'm going to use quadratic formula. It's fine. You could use level 3 factoring. Factoring doesn't always work. So quadratic formula is a good route. First of all, identify A, B, and C. If you don't have a calculator already, I'd grab one now, because we will utilize that resource shortly. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C. I put the little time symbol in there instead of parentheses because when we do use our graphing calculator, I recommend using the time symbol because it can get complicated how many different parentheses that we have involved. And then over to A. So then we enter into our calculator. Actually, let's just enter the radical, or the radicand, into our calculator. Because if it happens to be a negative value, we know we're going to have to simplify out an I, right? So let's just do 53 squared minus 4 times 7 times 28, 2,025. So I could rewrite this as negative 53 plus or minus the square root of 2,025 over, what's 2 times 7? 14. Good. And some of you may recognize that to be a perfect square, and some of you may not, but you always test it. So I would next do, okay, can I take the square root of 2,025? Yes, I can. 45. So I rewrite this as negative 53 plus or more minus 45 over 14. And I do negative 53 plus 45 over 14. And I do negative 53 minus 45 over 14. Keep in mind, if you're going to enter that all in at once in your calculator, which is efficient, it's a good way to do it, just keep your numerator in parentheses. So I'm waiting till somebody tells me what you get, or just do it in your head, either one. Simplify. Ooh, I bet I know what you got here. I mean, I do know what you got here. I'll do it with you. So you got negative 53 plus 45 over 14, and you get a decimal answer, but I want a fraction. It's not hard in your graphing calculator to convert this to a fraction. It's just like hidden a little bit. You have to hit the math key right here. Right under the alpha key, hit the math key, and it says that little triangle means change to, so change to a fraction. So if you press enter, and then enter again, you'll get the fraction equivalent. Oh, thanks for letting me know. Negative 4/7. And then if I go back up here, I can re-enter this but change that to a minus, and I get negative 7. So my two answers are negative 4/7 and negative 7. And that is review opener number 2.